should you use Spring Data JPA or JDBC template moving forward or when building your applications? Now, the rule of thumb is if you are building self-contained applications, i.e. maybe it's a application or a microservice. So we haven't touched on microservices, but the domain of our API is customers. So for customers alone, you see that there's not much complexity going on, right? So we have just a simple CRUD operation: create, read, update, and delete. And for that, you just use Spring Data JP. What did I say? Spring JPA, right? So Spring Data JPA. So you just use that, right? Now, when should you use JDBC template? Well, you should use JDBC template in, for example, systems where you want to perform extensive SQL queries, such as maybe you have a system that performs reports, or usually people just name the system as the reporting database or the reporting system, where it kind of performs, SQL queries up to maybe 100 lines, 200 lines, or, 50 lines, or complex SQL queries, which would be really difficult for you to achieve with Spring Data JPA. So when you start a project, use Spring Data JPA. And then if you need, complex queries, such as for the reporting system, then use JDBC template so that you have full control of the SQL queries. Now, you might be asking, okay, but why am I teaching both? Well, I'm teaching you both because I want you to write the SQL queries. I want you to write the SQL queries. So SQL, it's so powerful. And if you are a backend engineer, then you need to know how select works, how to use keywords such as limit, for example, how to perform pagination, how to create your indexes, and all that stuff, right? So you've seen that, we have the flyaway migration where we create like some constraints and whatnot. And here we're actually writing SQL. So I didn't use Spring or Hibernate and Spring Data JPA basically up to a point where I was, so confident with writing raw SQLs. So this is why I want you to learn JDBC template, right? So you've seen the result set. How do you map the records or the SQL rows to a Java object, for example, right? So it's important for you to understand how to do all of that. So this is the reason why I'm teaching you both. Okay, so from now on, I would say let's continue to use both. And as we change the customer DAO interface, then we have to change all of the implementations. And later, as you go into your group project, then I would say just stick with one, because as you saw, there's so many things that we have to worry about. And currently we can't even get the ID back because of the differences between Spring Data JPA and JDBC template, right? So if you're just using one, then things become much simpler. Yeah, but don't worry, I'm doing this for a good reason, so that you learn how to use raw SQL. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, let's continue.